Okay, welcome to Gut Spiller, the podcast where I speak to friends in the music scene and just talk to them about their life in music and maybe even get them to spill their guts. And I'm here with Yus. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Yusuf. I play in a band called Slabdragger. I do bass and vocals. Been doing that band for best part of 15, 16 years now. Been in a bunch of bands before that. Been playing music since I was about 15. I'm now 40, so been doing it most of my life.
Let's just kick it off with your best story that happened because you're involved in music.
Okay. We're going back here to an old band I used to be in. This isn't Slabdragger. This is an old band. I'm going to leave out names of bands and names of people because that'd be out of order. But yeah, years and years ago, I used to be in a band and was in that band for about 5 years. The other guys that were in this band were like, my best mates. So I've been playing with them a few years. We gigged a lot. We was doing a lot, lots of drinking, lots of smoking weed, a few other things as well. And, the hardest stuff in the band, not necessarily, I'm not trying to look like a angel, but like, I wasn't into it as much as some of the other guys. But the hardest stuff started to creep into the band a bit. It started to affect certain people's behavior, shall we say. Yeah, so I'll get straight into it. One day we had a rehearsal, and I brought one of my mates to our rehearsal because he really dug us, but he'd never met the band. I said to him like, come down, be cool. So he came down, brought him down to this rehearsal. So I get there and the guitarist is there, but the drummer is not. So we set up and we have a little jam and a play and stuff and have a smoke and have a laugh and have a few beers and stuff. Hour goes by, drummer's still not there. Hour and a half goes by, still not there. So we're like, what the hell? Anyway, 2 hours goes by and he finally turns up and he's absolutely pissed out of his face. He'd been out drinking with a bunch of our mates before the rehearsal and just turned up 2 hours late to the rehearsal. We were a bit like, oh, for fuck's sake sort of thing, but whatever. He sets up his kit and he's kind of stumbling around a bit. We start playing and basically we get 2 songs in and he's so drunk he cannot play. And so he decides that it's basically like our fault that he can't play and starts lobbing drumsticks at both me and the guitarist. And he basically gets into just psychotic drunken rage and just attacks us. And this guy, by the way, is one of my best friends, still is to this day. Like, I'm not, this isn't me talking shit about him. This is just a true story. He starts throwing drumsticks at us. One like misses me, one hits me on the arm. I start to get a bit pissed off. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He picks up a flight case and tries to throw it at my head. I think I knocked it out of the way or I grabbed it. And then he tackles me to the ground and we just basically start fucking going at it. Pounding on the floor, you throw him into the drum kit. The guitarist comes, he's trying to break us up. All the while, my friend that I invited down is stood in the corner in complete shock. Like, what the hell? He goes out of the room. One of the guys from the rehearsal room next door comes in and he's like, what the hell? Like sees us like literally like scrapping on the floor. By the way, I would like to also say that this is the only fight I've ever had in my adult life, and it's with my best friend. I'm not a fighter or anything like that. I'm not someone that does that sort of thing, but I had to defend myself. He scratched me across the face as we're scrapping. We keep getting like pulled apart and then going at it again. And then I was told to leave the room. I left the room to try and diffuse the situation. Then my mate comes back out and he's like, oh dude, he just tried to pick up your bass and throw it let's smash it on the floor. So I was like, I lost it at that point. I ran in and I see him he pushed my amp off of the cab and he had my bass. He was about to hit me with my bass. The guitarist grabbed it off him, and I literally I grabbed him, and I think I gave him 3 like real big punches to the face, and then he kind of was like stunned and knocked out for about 20 seconds or whatever, and he was just lying on the floor stunned and drunk, and like, so guitarist says to me like, dude, you better just go home, man, like get out of here. So I get out of there. I'm absolutely fuming, like with my mate that I've invited down on the train going back home. Then a couple of days after that, I go down to, I thought like, I'll go down to London and see a bunch of my mates. Cause like at the time, like a few of my mates worked in Soho, and I used to hang out in Soho quite a lot at the time. And so I went down there, went to see what they were doing. They came in and they looked at me and they were like, dude. And like, you know, cause they'd obviously heard about what happened. And I was like, oh my God, have you seen what he's done to me with this scratch across my face? And then they were like, is that all? And I was like, what do you mean, is that all? I was like, you should see the state of him. He looks like Rocky Balboa. He's got like 2 black eyes. I was like, yeah, oh, good. Like, you shouldn't have, do you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't have attacked me or whatever. And then they were like, oh, he is at the studio today, by the way. Maybe you should go and like chat to him because he feels really, really bad. So I went down to the studio. I opened the door and he's playing drums on his own in the studio. And I just stood at the doorway, just like while he was playing drums, didn't even notice me for about a minute. And then he looked up while he was playing, saw me, just like dropped his sticks and was just like, fuck, dude. And he like literally his eyes were like out here. And he was like, dude, I'm so fucking sorry, man. Like, and you know, I had a go at him. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This, that, and the other. And he, you know, I let him speak, and we chatted for a good hour, a couple of hours about it. And, you know, we actually like, we sort of like squashed it sort of thing, you know, because for that week between me seeing him then and the fight, like I was like, oh, he's out the band or I'm out the band. Like, that's it. It's over. I'm never speaking to him again. Blah, blah, blah. That lasted a week. And then, you know, he's still one of my best friends to this day. Like, you know, so yeah. And then we carried on for a few years after that.
It's the fact that it was when he grabbed your bass. That's when you were like, right.
It's a 70s Fender jazz bass. And my dad, who is no longer with us, like gave that to me as a gift because one of his friends gave it to him to give to me, like as a gift. So it's like really, not only is it basically a relic, that bass, it's like from the 70s and it's a pre-CBS Fender jazz bass before Fender got bought over as a big mass marketed company. But it's also the sentimental value as well. It was like my dad gave me that bass. Do you know what I mean? It's my first bass, which I still use like now sometimes. I'm sort of like semi-retired it now because I want to, you know, it's that bass has had 9 lives, to be fair. Like, do you know what I mean?
So that was your previous band, Slabdragger, was it?
One of my previous bands, yeah. I've been in quite a few bands, so.
But nothing like that in Slabdragger?
No, nothing that bad in Slabdragger, no. I mean, you know, there's been a few other, like, you know, there's been a few little arguments, little things here and there in Slabdragger, but nothing that bad, no. No, Slabdragger's relatively drama-free, relatively.
You know what, like, obviously you don't want that, but I feel like some bands are just, they need that, like, chaos. Like, I guess I know a few in real life, and obviously we know the big ones, like, you know, Guns N' Roses and everything, and, like, it becomes a part of what makes that band great, that chaos, and it adds to their music as well.
I can tell you now that band was exactly like that. It was a very, very chaotic band. The music was extremely chaotic. The lifestyle of us three was we were all a lot younger as well. Do you know what I mean? When you're younger, like, things are generally a bit more chaotic, especially when you play extreme music, I think. But it was, yeah, man, like, it was definitely that sort of band. Like, we pretty much ran on chaos. I remember like the first year or so, like we rehearsed like 3 times a week without fail. Like, and to be fair, we were a machine for a good while, and we were like, not one drop note, and it was like really crazy music as well. It wasn't easy to play either. So, but yeah, it was very chaotic. I feel like I was the most chilled person in the band. But I have my own issues as well. We all have our own issues. The other two guys were just nuts, like, and they're like two of my best friends. I love them to death, like to this day. Like, there's, I would never, like, I never want to like talk shit about them or anything like that. They are literally like two of my best friends, and yeah, literally it ran on chaos. Like, it was a very chaotic band, like,
What would you say is your high point from your musical journey so far?
I think like the first few years of Slabdragger, basically up until we did, like, for a long time, like up until we did Dawn Crusher, like the first couple of years before Regress came out was just super fun. It was just fun, like, and it was exciting, and it was like just like me and Sam and Matt, our original drummer, just like having a laugh but writing like really like gnarly music that we really liked. And then I remember at that time I started doing a lot of crewing work in like for like gear hire companies and stuff like that, like freelance, and I wanted to use that as a sort of a leg in to start doing live sound. But then we got signed to our old label, and we, I honestly didn't think we were going to get signed and we were going to do what we did. But it was like suddenly one day I wake up one morning, oh yeah, this label wants to sign us. They're going to put out our record, and they want us to make a record. So I remember the whole lead up to that was just so exciting. And then when we dropped Regress, it did, way better than I thought it would. I thought it'd come out, a few people would be into it, but it sold out fairly quickly. And, we suddenly had like a big following. It was almost like, it felt a little bit overnight in a lot of ways, because suddenly we were like on a bigger platform, and we were, it was Kerrang and Metal Hammer and reviews, and we started getting bigger shows, and that whole point, I reckon, after Regress came out was such a high point, because it's something I'd always wanted to like release a record and play bigger shows, and finally I was getting to do it. Bit of a maybe like between Regress and Dawn Crusher, we were playing a lot of, we were still playing a fair bit, but sort of momentum started to die down a bit. So we started making Dawn Crusher, few lineup changes, drummer changes, Sam had a collapsed lung and all of that kind of stuff. And, there's a few drawbacks, but we carried on. And eventually we got Dawn Crusher done, and then that did better than I thought that was going to do. And we started getting even more hype than before. And, like any time we released one of those two albums, it was just so exciting. It was just like, like I say, playing bigger shows, being asked to do like, playing Desert Fest and Supersonic Festival. Supersonic Festival, I think, was the first really big show we did, the first big festival show we did. And this was like in front of a good couple of thousand people, I think, like maybe between 1,000 and 2,000 people. We'd never played in front of that many people before, and never been on a stage that big before with a big sound, and where you don't turn up to the venue and they're like, oh yeah, could you turn down a bit, please? Like, it was just like, nah, go for it. Like, this is what we're here for. It was just like, wow, we get to just crank it all the way up and play as loud as possible to like 1,000 people. It was amazing. Like, getting put up in the hotel as well. It was just like, it was so like new to us. Do you know what I mean? We weren't sleeping on someone's floor, like, not saying we didn't do that after that. We done that plenty after that, but that was like our first experience of that. So yeah, all around that time was just, it was really exciting. That was definitely a high point for me.
Yeah, I think we've spoke about this before, but for me, that Regress, it just, well, I think you said it, right place, right time, really, right sound. It was just one of them things, and it still seems to people really still want to hear it now. Like, I think when I booked you guys for the last Doom Lines, one of my mates wanted you to play that one in full.
I don't think we ever. We might have done on our first headlining tour. Another high point, by the way. The first time, so after Regress came out in 2011, we did it. Sam booked like our first tour, and it was a headlining tour. It was only UK, just like I think 5 or 6 dates, and we headlined every show, and every show was amazing. And I think we played Regress in full maybe once or twice on that tour, but like I know like the other guys, they don't like doing. I know Sam doesn't enjoy playing a whole album in full. Like definitely, we did Dawn Crusher once in full, and like he was just like, yeah, not doing that again. Because there's just some songs he just doesn't like anymore. In fact, in general, he doesn't like. I don't mind personally playing old shit, but he doesn't. He doesn't like going back and repeat like playing the old stuff so much, which is fair enough. Like that's cool. Like
Yeah, no, I get it for sure. Yeah. You guys were like the band to look up to when I was first getting into the whole scene around 2014, I guess, 10 years ago. You guys were. I remember you had like a profile picture, and you were all wearing shades, and I was like, these guys are cool.
Was that the old one with our old drummer Sev? Was it the black and white picture? Yeah. We took that on. We took that on Sam's balcony with his camera, like just randomly. Yeah.
Well, that reminds me. Then this is probably the first time we met when you came and played. Do you remember you played the Lug Hole, and it was you, Ohms. I think you're on tour with Ohms, and then it was Conjurer. Was it Kurokuma on Sport, maybe?
Yeah. I think it was you guys. It was Conjurer. It was us and Ohms. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that was at the old Lug Hole, which is no more. I think the PA blew up during your set or our set. One of them.
I think it was during our set, actually. Yeah. I can't remember if it happened during your set and then it got fixed.
Yeah, I think we started it and then you finished it, and then. I remember Paul from Ohms did the set with no mic, I believe.
Okay, I thought Ohms played before us at that show because I distinctly, maybe I'm wrong, but I distinctly remember the show we did the night after. He's like said on stage, he was like, Slabdragger didn't get a fair crack of the whip last night because the PA blew up or something. Maybe, I don't know, I can't remember. But that was an awesome show because like the PA blew up, so it's just like, all right, fuck it, we'll just scream we'll scream the vocals at the crowd. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
That was the night. This is all coming back to me now. That was the night that they started filming the Doom doc.
Okay, cool.
I believe.
I mean, in the Doom doc, it kind of starts off with stuff about the Lug Hole, right?
Yeah. Because it's a live song by us, and I think it must have been that gig.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then obviously we got to know each other through the Doom doc. Slabdragger featured fairly heavily in it. Connor came down to London and filmed you guys, and that live version he got of is it Rise of the Dawn Crusher?
Yeah, I think, or a part of it.
Still sounds really great to me.
Yeah.
And then you released the take of Evacuate as well, like as a separate thing after it came out. Yeah, which is also awesome. Probably the closest thing we've got to an actual music video.
Right.
Right. To be honest, like.
Yeah, man. No, good times. What would you say throughout everything you've done, not just Slabdragger, but is there like an ideal that you've tried to maintain? Your approach to music? Is there anything that you kind of always want to try and do when you're playing and performing and writing?
Honestly, as long as I want to be able to, when I write something, and this is why I love Slabdragger so much, and I'm pretty sure like Sam feels the same. we always want to write something that we know we would be fans of, that you'd want to like repeat listen to. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's not that, then that's it. That's the ideal. That is literally the ideal. I want to be playing something that you know, really, like, if I was on the other end of it, I would make me go mad. Like, that I'd love it so much. Like, this is my shit. Something I'd want to hear on a mixtape or on the radio or on a kick-ass album, basically. Like, just trying to recreate my own favorite music. That's it. Like, because if you're playing stuff that's like, you're just doing it for the sake of it, that's run of the mill, or you're doing it because you want to, you're trying to appease a certain fan base or appease a certain genre or people, but it's not really in your heart. Like, when you play it back, you don't get excited, then there's no point to me personally. Like, I just want to make stuff that makes sense to me, that makes me feel excited about listening to it back as much as it does playing it. And that's it.
Yeah, I would say you've achieved that with Slabdragger. I think Slabdragger has a lot of personality. It's fairly unique. Nothing sounds quite like it. You can kind of just, it's one of them you tell within the first 5 seconds, because it's slow music, but it's got that fast energy within that. That's how I see it anyway.
Do you know what it is? And Sam actually, like, we used to talk about this a lot, but Sam explained it a lot. It's like, it's sludge doom, but it's got a sense of urgency that hardcore has. Because we're kind of like, well, Sam's come up, obviously he's a metalhead, but he came up as a hardcore kid. Like, I love hardcore as well. I'm a huge hardcore fan. So that's kind of in our DNA, and the sort of urgency of that kind of music is part of our DNA, along with other forms of extreme metal like death metal and thrash and grindcore and power violence and all that kind of stuff as well. Well, we didn't even do it on purpose. We didn't say like, oh, we're gonna play doom and sludge, but like we're a hardcore band. That was never like the plan, really. I think that just came out naturally because we've always been into that kind of music anyway. And we've played in, like, before we were in Slabdragger, both me and Sam have played in like plenty of like fast bands, more technical bands, you know, hardcore, death metal, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was already like very well in our DNA before we started saying, oh, we want to play like doom and sludge, because we like that kind of stuff. And nobody in our area was playing that kind of stuff either. So we would thought, like, in a way, I think we kind of wanted to obviously play it for ourselves because we enjoyed it. But it was great to sort of, where we're from, Croydon, like Croydon has a lot more like kind of, at the time, a lot of metalcore, hardcore, grindcore bands and death metal bands. And there was no bands doing that kind of stuff. And this was right at the point, like you say earlier, like right time, right place. This was right at the point where that kind of music just started to get big again in the UK and, well, in Europe in general, I guess.
Do you have any controversial music-related opinions? Stuff that you kind of wouldn't always just say, you'd think twice about saying it, but now I'm getting you to say it on a video that everyone can see online.
No, if I have an opinion about it, I'll just say it. I think the Smashing Pumpkins are the most fucking overrated band of all time. Like, and not even like, to be honest, not even the sum of its parts, just the music and Billy Corgan, I guess, specifically. I can't stand it. It's funny, like, I've always thought that. And, unfortunately, yesterday, rest in peace, Steve Albini. I read an article, he literally shared exactly the same opinion as me, like, from ages ago. Yeah, he had some quite scathing reviews of bands, but yeah, I can't stand them. And I remember growing up, a load of my friends were like the hugest fans of theirs, and I never got it. So I'd probably get in trouble around them for saying that, but whatever. Yeah, I think it's because of the era they come from. They come from the 90s alternative, which is like, oh, you can't talk shit about those bands. Yeah. Which 90% of them I wouldn't, like, to be honest, because I like loads of that stuff. I love Soundgarden and Nirvana and Alice in Chains and all of those bands, you know what I mean? Like, amazing. But yeah, Smashing Pumpkins I always thought was super overrated, and I thought all of the other bands, especially the ones I just listed, were like way, way better.
The 90s is weird for me. I either really love bands or can't stand them and think they're massively overrated.
Like for me, Nirvana were one of the they were one of the first bands I ever got into, and one of the first songs that I learned to play. And I think the reason I love Nirvana so much is because the songwriting was easy enough that you could, learn the 3 chords of each song, but feel really accomplished once you've done it as a budding guitarist, as a teenager, you know. And then like Nirvana really like made me feel like that, because apart from Nirvana, I was trying to learn like Metallica and Guns N' Roses songs as well. And like I did learn them, but they're much more challenging than Nirvana songs. So obviously that has its own reward as well. But to be able to learn a Nirvana song in like 10, 20 minutes and be able to like, oh wow, it's easy to sing over as well. When you're like 17, 16 years old, it's like, oh wow, like I can play this like really famous band, really cool band songs, and wow, maybe it'll give me the confidence to maybe do it for myself. That's why I love Nirvana from the beginning, basically. But I totally get like why, you know, I understand why like other people may not like them, because
I think they're a great band. I think they're a great band. I think obviously Nevermind's got some absolute like classics on it, but I prefer Bleach actually, and I think a lot of kind of sludge guys prefer that one because it's got that sludgy sound.
For sure.
I just it was always a bit at odds for me, like where Kurt Cobain was like this absolute icon and he was like fuck the system and all this, and then the music to my ears was always fairly accessible. I wish they'd have stayed in that Bleach sound, but they wouldn't be massive.
You gotta remember, like before Smells Like Teen Spirit was released, they were still playing to like 20, 30 people in a room. Like they were, you know, in a way, like if Nevermind never came out, most of us probably wouldn't have. We might not have ever heard of them. Like,
and there'd be no Foo Fighters because of that as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Because of Dave Grohl and just be an obscure musician.
Yeah, totally.
We've spoken before, me and you, about how you have to make sacrifices to make life work, even as just a non-professional musician, just to have music as part of your life and to kind of get a band like Slabdragger to the point that it was at. Is there anything that you feel you've missed out on because of the amount of time and dedication you've had to give to music? I think it's something that doesn't really get spoken about, and it's something I kind of want to talk about on this podcast, but I just wonder your thoughts, because I've got my own. But yeah, how do you feel about, you know, the time you've had to put in to make music work for you? And maybe you look around at friends and family who have been able to concentrate on other things like career or whatever. I don't know. How do you feel about all that kind of stuff?
I've sacrificed a lot over the years, like not just with Slabdragger, even before that. I've sacrificed obviously like time, energy. I've sacrificed what little money I have, like, you know, to pay for rehearsals, pay for like equipment, even like relationships in the past as well, to a certain extent. I've sacrificed, you know, just to be able to do what I want to do, like basically, and you know, no regrets, to be honest. You know, I've sacrificed probably getting a normal career. You know, by now I could be like probably a lot more well off and maybe even have my own house, or well, probably not in the current climate anyway. But I could have had probably a lot of those things by now. But my weird, stubborn musical brain wouldn't let me do that. I almost felt like I didn't really have much of a choice. Like my brain just won't let me do it. You know, music cast a spell on me from a very, very young age, and it's just like never left. I suppose maybe some people don't have the balls to do it, or they're under too much pressure from society or family or people around them to not do it. But luckily I didn't really have those pressures. in a way, and I always just wanted to like, you know, carry on doing music, you know, whatever happens, because, you know, all of my most of my best experiences in life have happened in relation to music in some way. So there's no regrets there for sacrifice.
Yeah, and speaking about relationships, your missus, she's a musician, right?
She is indeed, yes. She's very cool, very talented.
So I guess that helps as well when you've got an understanding partner.
Yeah. I mean, like when we first met, you know, we like, you know, shared each other's music and stuff, and you know, talked till like 4 a.m, and you know, like, and talk about music all the time, and you know, we're both doing our own thing, sort of thing, and so yeah, she, you know, she understands, I understand. At the moment, she's doing a really cool band called The Gospel. It's kind of like dark gothic gospel music, like you know, it's pretty cool. It's like, imagine like kind of Nick Cave vibes with a gothic gospel choir behind it, sort of thing. She's doing like pretty well, you know, like she just played a show the other night at the Garage supporting this band from the 90s called Miranda Sex Garden. And yeah, it was a really good show. They've supported Republica. They've got another show in Birmingham coming up, and then they're doing a big festival in November. So like, yeah, she's doing well. And you know, she was kind of out the game for quite a long while, and while she was out the game, I was in the game, and now it's sort of swapped a bit because Slabdragger's sort of calmed down a bit because we all live far away from each other now, and it's sort of on a semi-hiatus, and then I'm working on getting a new band together. So while I'm doing all that, she's being more active, and you know, it's really good. Like I'm really, you know, she's always been proud of me, I'm proud of her. Like, it's awesome.
Sick.
Yeah, and just kind of to finish it off, what's the most meaningful connection you've made through a life in music? Maybe it is someone in one of the bands you've been in. Maybe it's not. You know,
a good couple of bands that I've been in. You know, definitely with my previous band, I made a very, you know, I was in that for a long time, and we're all best mates, and you know, a lot of meaningful connections with those guys and the people we met. But I think with Slabdragger specifically, I suppose it was at the very, very beginning. I think we'd literally been a band for about 2 or 3 months. You know, Sam, to sort of set the scene, Sam wrote the first song by himself before even starting the band. He wrote Splice the Main Brace, which is on Regress. He wrote that by himself, and like wrote a bunch of, to go with it, he wrote a short story about a bunch of pirates celebrating defeating a giant sea monster by getting pissed on rum on their ship, right? Which then I eventually turned into lyrics, and then we both tweaked them, sort of thing. So yeah, Sam wrote that song, and then was like, played it to me, and was like, I was like, yeah, this is sick. This sounds like kind of like got some early Mastodon vibes, but a bit sludgy, bit this and that. And then he was like, would you like to do a band of this? Do you want to do a band of this kind of stuff? I was like, fuck yeah, man. And he was like, cool. I was thinking of getting our original drummer, Matt, because he loves that stuff as well, to play drums. I was like, that'd be a great lineup. Like, we'd all been good friends for a long time before that. Anyway, I think we had the first couple of jams, and then about 3 months into it, I remember my girlfriend at the time, we broke up, and I was like really cut up about it. And I remember messaging Sam, like saying, broken up with my girlfriend and stuff, and like, and he was like, oh shit, man, sorry, dude. And then a week later, like, him and his girlfriend at the time broke up. So it's like we broke up with our girlfriends at like 3 months into starting this band, broke up with our girlfriends in the same week almost. And then like a week or so, a few weeks later, I found myself around his, like, you know, like just hanging out. And, you know, we were both really sat on his sofa, just like smoking and like just being really bummed out and talking. And then suddenly we just had this total like Tenacious D moment where we're like, okay, we've both been dumped by our girlfriends. but we've got this band. Let's fucking do it. Let's go for it. Like this is what we're gonna do now, and we're gonna go hard, and we're gonna fucking do it, and we'll show them kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And to be fair, that's what we did. And then it literally, the rest is history. That I like to think that we made a pact together that day, like to push it as hard as we could, and I feel like we did succeed in that, to be fair, because it went way further than I thought it was going to go.
I think it does make a difference, when I think back to how our band started. None of us were in relationships at the time, and obviously a lot of us want to be in relationships, but it does give you that ability to completely focus when you're single, and like it does become your life. And I think that's a good thing, like you say, especially at the start of a band. It needs that like energy put into it, otherwise it's just not gonna blow up. It's not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah, and we were much younger. We were in our mid-20s at the time as well, so we didn't have, I certainly didn't have like the responsibilities that I have now. I was like 25. I was like 25 at the time or something when we started the band, I think. So it was like, okay, yeah, we're both single, both don't really have any responsibilities. I've got like whatever job I was doing at the time, I can't even remember, but it was probably a shit-paying shit job. Did plenty of those back in the day, and so yeah, it was literally that allowed us to basically like have a Tenacious D moment and go for it.
Yeah, sick. All right, well, to finish off, do you want to quickly plug or talk about what you're working on at the moment? Because I know you said things are not the most active with Slabdragger at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we're not split up, but we're not really active at the moment because we all live like quite far away from each other, and life as well. Life happens, but we do have about 80% of a new album demoed. But whether or not that will see the light of day, I'm not sure. I want it to, and I'm sure it will, but I'm not sure when that will happen. But yeah, that just basically keep your eyes peeled for that, because that may happen at some point. But I'm starting a new band with my friend Neil. We're a 2-piece at the moment, but we possibly are getting another new member soon. That is sounding like, kind of like, imagine Slabdragger, but with like metallic hardcore punk thrown in as well. So
even more hardcore,
even more like urgency. Yeah, I want to like, I've done 2 albums with Slabdragger of like, songs that passed 8, 10, 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean? The longest Slabdragger song is 17 minutes. And, I feel like I've got that whole long song thing out of my system, and I just want to like make a really short kick-ass fuck you album that kind of has DNA of Slabdragger in it, but loads of other stuff that I like as well. So that's on the way. That's been going. We've been jamming that and writing that for about the last year, and I think we're almost at a point where we'll be going to the studio and maybe doing our first show fairly soon.
Cool.
There's no name for it yet, because every name I seem to pick has been taken. So I wanted to call the band Heft, but I've for ages wanted to call it that because I really like that name. I like a monosyllabic name. But I looked online, and there's a band from the States, a metal band from the States called Heft, and they've taken it, and they're quite active, and it really annoyed me. But oh well, gotta let it go.
Yeah, you've got a hard job on beating Slabdragger, because some of that, it's just iconic, that one.
Again, what we were saying earlier about like I want to make music that makes me excited to listen to it as much as playing it. Like even the name Slabdragger, I just love that that's our band name. People run up to us and tell us how much they love the name of the band as well. Like,
one of them names, it just gives you that feeling. You're like, yeah. It's just badass.
Yeah, man.
Cool. All right. Sick. Well, thanks for chatting to us, and yeah, I'll get this episode edited and out soon, and it'll be one of the first ones. So yeah,
Wicked.
it's been
Awesome.
fun.
Yeah, it has been fun. Thank you so much, Joe, man. This is awesome. Seriously,
Yeah.
thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed that, you'll be pleased to know I've got loads more episodes planned with guests from the UK and more further afield. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for those episodes. Peace.